Today on the Paul Harrell program, mainstream media sources are reporting text messages between Charlie Kirk's killer and his trans boyfriend. They're reporting that they've been released. We're going to read those. You'll never guess how ABC News reported this story. And through all of this, it's important to remember that with the radical left, with radical leftism, violence is the feature and not the bug. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the great Rob Spencer. Rob.
I don't know how great I am, Paul, but thank you. I'm glad to be here as always. And of course, you know, we're trying to keep everybody is like scrolling and hitting update and all of that. We're trying to figure out, you know, what led to this, and we know we're talking, we're hearing from Kash Patel when he was, you know, went before Congress today, and he was talking about very in a lot of detail, maybe even a surprising amount of detail. He was talking about how, you know, there was this Discord channel and all of that, and we're gonna see all of this stuff because the individuals that were in that Discord channel who are trying to hide right now, they have shut down their Instagram pages. You know, this organization, they are talking. We mentioned it yesterday. The trans, you know, people who are like militarily training themselves.
Salt Lake City queers for something like that.
Yeah. And so those individuals have gone into hiding because they know the jig is up and the FBI is looking at them. And so we're gonna see how tough they are when the FBI knocks on their door and says, "Hey, can you explain this post?" and whether they were accomplices. That's what's going to be extremely interesting. Now, we also saw the text messages, as you alluded to in the opening, and ABC never ceases to amaze us.
I know, it's absolutely incredible. But before we get started with that, I just want to remind everybody to like this video, subscribe if you can, and we would really very much appreciate it. And if you want to become a paid contributor, or I'm sorry, a paid subscriber, you can go to paultalkshow.substack.com, as you see it on your screen there. And when you do, monthly or yearly, I'll send you a copy of my game, Left Wing Will and the Red Pill. Okay, so yeah, on that, I covered a little bit of this earlier, Rob, that not only do you have the Discord and you have Kash Patel in front of Congress today saying that it's more than 20 people, they're really going after all these people. You also have the Washington Free Beacon reported yesterday on all of the social media accounts that are since deleted that seem to indicate they had advanced knowledge of what was going to happen to Charlie Kirk on that campus on September 10th. Now, I don't know if any of you guys remember January 6th. Obviously, we all do. But the Biden administration, they were very swift when they got into power. I mean, it was, you know, kicking people's doors down, arresting grandmas. I mean, they went. And so, I mean, I know you've got to do an investigation. I know it hasn't even been a week yet. It'll be a week tomorrow. But you would think that these social media accounts that posted like they have advanced knowledge of what was going to happen, that they would already have been frog marched, you know, out for questioning, and we would all know about it.
It's interesting, and I don't know the law, but I'll be interested to find out if they have committed a crime themselves. If you have advanced knowledge of a crime and you fail to, and you fail to report it, you know, is that a crime? And I just, unfortunately, I just do not know.
I definitely know. You know, conspiring to create, you know, to commit the crime is obviously a crime. We definitely know that, and having advanced knowledge and posting about it. I mean, we very well may uncover, you know, some sort of trans terrorist cell, you know, that and that's what we're actually dealing with here.
Well, I think what at the very least, hopefully that the text messages revealed the liberal lunatic leftists who are trying to say that this guy was a conservative who felt like Charlie Kirk was too left, and they're just like, hey, I got to take this guy out because he's too left. Okay, conservatives don't think that way. They really don't. Now, we have disagreements about stuff, and Pam Bondi's taken a lot of heat today, and rightfully so. But we have disagreements about things. But we're not going to like a conservative is not going to take out one of its most influential individuals. Certainly one that that although maybe you don't feel like he's conservative enough, Charlie Kirk was plenty conservative where he's not on the radar of, whoa, this guy is a danger to the conservative.
Right.
They just want so badly.
They don't want to admit.
Yeah, they like, this is not him. This is not him. You know, this is a person who's not been indoctrinated with leftist ideology, although he lived with a transgender and he was on all of these Discord channels and he followed all of these places that were absolutely leftist, but yet, you know, he's not one of you. You know?
Yeah, I think that we're holding up the mirror. The Justice Department's going to hold up the mirror, and they don't like the reflection. Like they don't want to be forced to actually look at who they really are and what it means. And that's another reason why they're celebrating it and making excuses. I mean, they refuse to be ashamed of anything.
Well, and
there is no shame.
And they're even passing blame, and they're like, "Oh, I thought you Republicans were in favor of free speech and all that stuff." And I was like, "Wait a minute, you don't like it? You don't like it when it's on the other side?"
No, you don't.
Although no one on our side, the conservative side, Paul, the sane side, no one on our side is cheering the death of anybody on the left. I did not care for Joe Biden. I did not care for Kamala Harris, and I certainly didn't care for them as leaders of our nation. But I didn't wish ill will on them. Mm-hmm. Every time Joe Biden fell off his bicycle or stumbled up the thing, and I was just like, man, this is our commander-in-chief. I thought it was sad.
Yeah.
I thought it was sad. But I'm like sitting there, I'm not thinking, well, this guy needs to go into the hospital or he needs to resign or anything like that. Abuse. I was like, he should have never been elected in the first place.
Yeah,
but
100%. But no, to your point, I mean, this is, as I said yesterday, this is something we can really marinate on, that it's different, right? When you get canceled back 10 years ago, you got canceled for saying something that was true.
Yeah.
Like that men can't become women or something like that. And the left would do that to their own. I mean, it might be a diehard leftist on every other issue, but then they step out of line and then their entire career is over. And then versus what people are being canceled now from the consequences of their speech, which is people don't want to, that we still have somewhat freedom of association. People don't want to be associated with people that celebrate the assassination of somebody over their politics and or over, preaching the gospel or what have you. People don't want to be associated with that, and so they're experiencing the same consequences. But I did think, on the other hand, in terms of government getting involved, I obviously thought what Pam Bondi said about, the hate speech, she used the completely wrong phrase.
Yeah.
We spent the last 20 years trying to prevent the left from being able to say hate speech, is a thing, and it need, or it's violence. And I know that she didn't say it's violent, but she really stepped in it and has really. I mean, if I had, I didn't know how I could have less confidence in Pam Bondi than I do right now. But I will say this: you and I, the Paul Harrell program. With Rob Spencer, we are in the near future, I think next week sometime, we're going to be broadcasting on television. We're going to be broadcasting on some rural cable companies. We'll be broadcasting on digital feed out of north central Arkansas. So we're going to be able to get our message out. But what comes with that are FCC regulations.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me, like in this day and age, when anything goes, like the last remnant of being able to hold something up and say that it's bad for public or it's that we have that banning things is good sometimes are FCC regulations that have a list of words that they don't want you to say.
Right.
Cuss words.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, if you really think about it, it's like, wow, a bygone era. You mean we used to ban things and we used to say, hey, this is bad? And for the good of kids that may be watching, we don't want them to hear this language. Imagine that. Imagine that in the same thing, like, oh, we don't want people to see or glorify the celebration of a man's death. I can really see the parallels here, and I hope we can kind of rediscover who we used to be.
Well, it was born in the era of decency, and it was, hey, we don't want little ears to hear this stuff, and so these things are banned on the airwaves. And there's 7 deadly words. And if you remember the movie Private Parts with Howard Stern, which was essentially like a biopic of his life, And there were executives talking about these are the 7 deadly words that you're not allowed to say. Deadly, being sort of facetious there. But these are the words that you're not allowed to say. And they humorously sort of list them out. And it's like stuff that Howard Stern would say. And of course, before his show got canceled on Sirius, that's what he would do. He would put that out there. But at that time, he was on like radio, right? That would just go across the air. But it was all born out of the idea of decency. And these are the things that you are not allowed to say. So you have freedom of speech, but you're not allowed to say these things because these people will hear them, and we don't want that to happen, right? Yep. Now, what Pam Bondi did was she crossed a line of, yeah, you have freedom of speech unless you say things hateful, and therefore the government is going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Now, we're all fine. The conservatives and Matt Walsh really lashed out on Pam Bondi.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt Walsh, my gosh, man, I'm like, that dude is awesome. I absolutely agree. I don't know that Matt Walsh has ever said anything that I disagree with, right? He is that spot on about what he's saying, and he went after Pam Bondi, and a lot of other conservatives did so as well. But Pam Bondi, you crossed a line. We agree that if someone works at the Gap and they post something evil and just celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, and they have works at the Gap in their bio, and Gap is taking heat, Gap is well within their rights to be able to fire that person. Like, you are negatively affecting my business. I don't care about your political beliefs. I don't care. And maybe in some cases, unfortunately, some of these employers agree with the nasty things that their people have said. But you're negatively affecting my business, you're out of here, okay? We all agree that is capitalist society, you are well within your rights. But the government can't do it. That is absolutely a violation of the First Amendment. And as sick as some of these people are, I don't want the government going after them.
Well, here's the thing. Like, she later clarified, still using the phrase hate speech, which is just, I can't believe after the backlash she clarified. But what she said was, look, like, you can't terroristic threatening is illegal. There are those limits, and if there is this network of terrorists that are out there that we're going to go, like, obviously people planning to be violent, you can be arrested for plotting a terrorist attack, right?
Yeah, and
that's all that we're wanting. Like, I'm wanting the government to uproot the radical left to make America safe. Yeah. And she's talking about going after a home Office Depot because one of their employees that they fired refused to print a Charlie Kirk sign. And it's like, come on, she's looking at the granular, Rob, and we're all saying 30,000 feet. Hey, can we do something about Antifa? Can we label them a terrorist organization? Can we go after them?
Rather than some person at Home Depot who, let their ideology get in the way of company business, It's just, we're all in agreement, conservatives, and this is the thing. This goes back to the whole release of the Epstein files. Epstein files that we talked about on the show. We're not monolithic. That is a word that Joe Biden brought into our stratosphere here, but he's like, well, the Hispanic community is not monolithic like the African Americans, right? There's very diverse people in the Hispanic thing. I was like, how is it? You trying to say Trump is racist? They're like, hey, black people, you all think the same. This Hispanic community, they don't think the same. And you're just like, okay, whoa, no, that is not true here. But anyway, Republicans, conservatives are not monolithic. We fight with each other. We fought with each other over the Epstein file stuff. Like, hey, Trump, you're getting this wrong.
Right, exactly.
You were handling this incorrectly. I agree with other 95% of the things you do, but I disagree with this 5% over there. And Republicans and conservatives will do that. The Democrats, they fall in line. We talked about it, how Nancy Pelosi, when she was Speaker of the House, she used to be able to get that progressive wing and that moderate wing. They all got together, and they all ended up voting exactly that way. And there's no ousting of the Speaker of the House for Democrats.
The idea of black people being a monolith. Have you ever seen the old Key and Peele sketch?
Oh my gosh, Key and Peele are great.
With the late Theo Huxtable is in that sketch too.
Yeah.
But I can't remember
Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Oh man, and it was like, black people are not a monolith. We're not a monolith. Black people are practical. It was a black Republican. It was It was a black Republican group, and they all dressed the same, and they all. But that's a fantastic sketch. If anybody ever wants
Key and
to
Peele's
see it.
great, and Jordan Peele has turned himself in to be one of the premier horror directors.
Yeah. What was that one about the Get Out? Is that the one where the white family of Democrats? They're liberals. That was the thing. Like they were all liberals. Oh, I voted for Obama, but they're secretly enslaving black people or putting their consciousness in their bodies with brain transplants. I think.
Gosh,
that was crazy, man.
But pulling us back on focus here.
Yeah. Pull me back.
So we've got the text messages that were released, and I really loved, hearing it straight from the Utah Attorney General, and I forget his name.
Let's see if we got it.
Yeah, but he absolutely read it out, and it was like, okay, well, this has got to be. Is this not the be all end all of this ridiculous argument that this guy was on the right?
Yeah, it is.
It should
100%.
be.
Yeah. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange, then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson again, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge, UWU on Fox knew I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K dollar scope. Wink, wink.
$2,000.
Robinson again. Delete this exchange. Again, Robinson. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN. Not answering. Robinson. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate. I'm much more worried about you. Robinson. Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the...
Yeah, I mean...
Rob.
So there's a few questions. Number one, let's see, that was 2 hours ago. I'm trying to find because the photo, I reported this earlier today about this photo of the rifle, the one that we were given.
Yeah.
And allegedly, Tommy Robinson, or allegedly the New York Post, that video of the rifle in a box was from was old. Of course, Google's not showing.
Well, I mean, the rifle in the box, unless that box was, from the FBI or police or something like that, that rifle of the box, it just doesn't match what the text messages said, because he said he wrapped it in clothes or something like that.
That's right. And so I don't know. I'm trying to confirm right now if let's see if it'll show it to me. I still, when he says when he says they release, I guess in the text messages, when Tyler Robinson says they released a thing of the gun, they released a photo of the gun, and now my dad is calling me.
Yeah.
Because they basically recognized it.
Right.
Is that the same photo that that the New York Post said they obtained, but there's some reporting out there saying that photo was actually from 2019 and it wasn't the gun?
Well, I don't know how they could have released an unrelated photo that would have prompted his parents and grandparents.
I guess I'm saying, is there another photo that I don't have? Is that the only photo of the gun that you've seen? That's the only one that I've seen. That's the only one that I've seen.
Yeah, that's the only one that I've seen. But for them to watch that, and then the grandpa of the shooter, calls his son, the shooter's dad, and says, "Hey, where's my gun?" Like he's wanting to account for it. Like they already know. And he is basically shady butting his own dad because he doesn't want to answer the questions. Because of, what's the first question? His dad, if his dad has texted him, the first question his dad's gonna be like, "Hey, do you have the gun? You didn't do this, did you?" Like there would have been an interrogation on the phone, with his son. And you're just right now reading the text messages and listening to the text messages be read of inside the mind of this killer. Like he did not care at all about anything other than his transgender boyfriend, whatever you want to call him, and not getting caught. Those were his two concerns at that very moment. It was, and he just said, "Hey, I guess my grandpa's gun works pretty good. It's a $2,000 scope on it." And there was a lot of people that looked at the gun from the photo that we've seen, Paul, and they were like, "Whoa, that scope is put on incorrectly. Like this guy, if there is any recoil in that 30-06, then that scope is left him with a black eye,
right?
Because it was like sort of mounted." really low there, and it would have been overhanging. Yeah, see, there it is, right? And it's like, whoa, that's not, the scope is usually mounted a little bit further, and I'm not a huge rifle person. I mean, I've got a handgun, but I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so I got a MNRI reporting from earlier. Because I said that they deleted their article posted showing the rifle, but it's still there. They have their original article reporting that they have obtained the photo is now gone. But they have a current article with the photo still there, the New York Post. This is all just coming from earlier. I read from John Cullen, who was he was a pretty big bird dog on the Butler assassination, and is still asked a ton of questions about it.
Look at that rifle right there. Okay, so what do you notice about that?
It's in a box. First of all, it's in a box. He says nothing about a box.
No, he doesn't. He said that
I wrapped it in a towel.
He wrapped it in a towel. Now, if they would have found this firearm, they wouldn't have just left it out on the ground there. I could understand them putting it in a box, something to carry this thing around.
Maybe for evidence, yeah.
But if you were to sort of zoom in on that picture, Paul, it looks as if it's a sort of like a charcoal painted black.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you never can trust coloring in photos and all of that stuff. But I could see that. And wonder, like, hey, if I own this rifle, that looks remarkably like the one my grandson is in possession of.
Yeah. 100%.
Who lives in the area, right?
Yeah, it does look unique.
It's a unique gun.
And the scope is way far back.
Like, I don't understand that. Like, maybe somebody that knows, if you know firearms better than I do there, just like comment in the comments there and just let us know why in the world that scope would be that far back. Now, is it a 30-06? I believe I have shot a 30-06 that had no recoil. Does that sound right? Where you feel like you're just, like you're not even really shooting anything, not like a shotgun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would depend, on
what it is.
I've never shot a 30-06. I mean, I don't think there's a giant recoil on a 30-06. I shoot a 270, and there's that's a bigger bullet, and there's really not much. I mean, there's not much of a recoil. Just hang on tight, and it's not really that big of a deal. So, so a 30-06 would be less recoil than a 270. So.
Yeah. Well, the text exchange, good grief. I mean, that's number one. That's a confession, and number two, that just shows that he had no value for human life there, because all he cared about was his own. All he cared about was getting that rifle, because he knew that it was, and he was anticipating getting away with this. Yeah. Because he just said, how am I going to explain why I don't have that rifle anymore?
He was anticipating getting away with this, but, I'm assuming that he had a cell phone with him the whole time. And if he had his cell phone with him the whole time, he was not getting away with this. They were going to look at all the cell phone data. They were going to figure out who was where.
But any good attorney would have argued that he was at the event. He's like, well, sure, I was at the event.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting that, he doesn't think that this text message thread is going to.
He said delete it.
He said delete it, but I don't even think that would have mattered if if they ever zeroed it on him, they were going to get everything from the phone company,
Yeah. Well, but iMessages, if you don't have those saved to your cloud.
Oh, really?
iMessages, phone to phone. Those, as far as I know, they're not retrievable.
Interesting.
Now, if it's iPhone to iPhone.
So, again, you are all I worry about, my love. So this is Tyler Robinson responding to his boyfriend. Now, that brings us to this portion of how the mainstream media outlet ABC News reported on these revelations, because you have to keep in mind, Rob, you know this, the media and the left in general, they really don't want this guy to be gay or affiliated with the trans.
No, of course not.
The trans enclave, the trans. We saw what happened in Minnesota, where a trans guy murdered little children praying in a church.
Yeah.
So they desperately don't want this to be put back on them.
Yet
so
another with the Nashville with all.
Yeah. So this is how ABC News decides to cover this revelation that debunks their denial.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference, David.
Oh, Rob, it's just so touching.
It's touching.
Oh, it's touching.
It was interesting to see the touching exchange as he talked about hiding the murder weapon. It was touching, because all he cared about was his transgender lover, my love.
The duality of it all.
Yes.
The duality. Notice he mentioned
riveting. I'm on the ends of my seat.
The duality, but he doesn't actually mention the duality of the guy that committed murder just a few hours ago and is now.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm sorry to, whataboutism or try to turn it around, but in a world where a white Christian man did this to a leftist, would ABC News never say? There's very touching messages that they gave to his wife and how concerned he was with the family and how his actions were going to affect.
It was a touching message that he gave to his wife just moments before he choked her out and murdered her.
Yeah,
they
would never do that in a million years. So my question is, how do we coexist with this? How do we coexist with this apparatus, the people that love ABC News are brainwashed by ABC News? How do we coexist with people who are in totally different realities?
Paul, I think the left would have us believe that these are isolated incidents where, we just got one or two, maybe incidents. There's no, this rhetoric is both sides.
Both sides. Is it really both sides?
Okay. Yeah. And so Tom Tillis, who is an outgoing Republican.
Thank goodness.
Is he a senator?
Yes, Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina.
Right, not running for re-election
because he couldn't win.
Yeah, of course he couldn't win because he's too much of a rhino.
Yep.
I mean, there's just no other way to put it.
Yep, and he killed. He was one of the ones that killed the D.C. attorney, Eagle Ed Martin. Ed Martin. He was one of the ones that was in opposition to Ed Martin getting the U.S. attorney's job.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was one of the holdouts.
One of the holdouts. Well, this it's just kind of one of the when you're a lame duck. I just think you just need to shut the hell up and just sit there. Sit there. If you're a lame duck and you're not running, just shut up. Just shut up because what you have no fear of whether you're going to be reelected or any of that stuff. And I'm so sick of the both sides argument. I'm absolutely floored.
Just listen to it one more time. It's just a minute clip here.
Within 24 hours of Mr. Kirk's shooting, we had the guy that does the podcast for the War Room and
Steve
another guy
Bannon.
who's denied the Sandy Hook shooting
Alex Jones.
say we're at war. Now, how on earth, and I do believe it's a smaller number, but it's a number that has an influence. How on earth are we de-escalating the situation and with the tensions as high as they were last week, with going out and saying, we're at war? I'm not asking you to respond to this question. I'm just saying that there are people out here on our side of the aisle that still need to look in the mirror. Even if you agree that it's a lower number, bad is bad no matter how many numbers they are. And that kind of rhetoric and that kind of mobilization makes your job more difficult and puts us in a position where we're not being as productive as you want the FBI and state and local law enforcement to be.
Save us from this generation that has presided over the destruction of this country.
Yep.
The fact that my little girl has no chance at having the childhood. She doesn't. She does not have the childhood that I had.
Right.
Because I cannot let her, outside and, the way I grew up outside. You just can't do that with kids anymore. It's because of this generation that they've allowed this nonsense to happen from top to bottom. I'm sorry. I cannot, this type of, mealy mouth, Mickey Mouse men with no chests. I'm so disgusted by people like Tom Tillis. Basically, whataboutism? Well, what about our side? Look, Steve Bannon and Alex Jones acknowledging that we are at war, or that the radical trans or the radical left or Antifa are at war with us, when we're not the ones that go burn down cities. We're not the ones that retaliate the way they all say that we do. You know, they're the ones when something happens, like a George Floyd, go set fire to a Wendy's.
Yeah.
And so I'm just outraged.
Yeah,
I'm outraged by people like Tom
we
Tillis.
protest with candlelight vigils and saying that we're at war. That doesn't mean that Alex Jones and Steve Bannon strapped up and and reported to the front line. That's not what they're saying. They're saying we are at war with a radical left ideology that is infecting the brains of our young people and even our older people, as we see. And they are infecting both sides of the aisle here, because we even see moderate Republicans who are like, oh, I just think that we need to all just get along and hold hands. Kumbaya is not a possibility these days, folks. You cannot, as J.D. Vance said yesterday on the Charlie Kirk show when he guest hosted, you cannot coexist with those who believe you don't have the right to breathe.
That's exactly right.
It's impossible. And I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of the whataboutism, because when you go through the long list of the things that have happened at the hands of leftist violence, and the first people are MSNBC, CNN, and all of these leftist organizations, ABC, CBS News, these leftists who come out and say, now is the time to take down the rhetoric. We need to tone down the rhetoric. And that starts at the president. The president hasn't killed anybody. The Republicans aren't killing folks. You want to say that we are, but you can't even prove that the person in Minnesota was a Republican. You can't even prove that person killed that Democrat
who sided with Republicans.
Yes,
in a vote.
That's right. You can't prove that wasn't the motivation. You're trying to say that it was a Republican killing a Democrat, and if that's what it is, okay, you got one in your column here. But none of us on the right celebrated it. We talked about this yesterday. None of us on the right celebrated those deaths like you're celebrating Charlie Kirk. We are not the same. Tom Tillis, do not put us into the same box. We are not the same.
100%.
You are 100% living in a dream world if you think that conservatives and radical left lunatics who want to end our lives, me and you are conservative podcast hosts for this show, they want to end our lives, Paul, and you think that we're the same, Tom Tillis? You think that we need to tone this down? You're full of trash, and that trash is unfortunately flowing out of your mouth.
And the only thing that we are calling for in terms of a response is for the legal authorities, like law enforcement, to do their jobs. So to say that we're at war, right? The Mexican drug cartels for decades now have been waging a war
100%
against the American people at the border with the drugs, with the human trafficking, and now Donald Trump is trying to do something about it. He's actually engaging the military to use force against, whether it's a boat in the middle of the Caribbean from Venezuela or whatever. Like, that's what we're trying to say is the rhetoric has gone on too long to inspire this far left-wing violence. We have people in positions of power that can do something about it, and we are encouraging, while recognizing they're at war with us. Yeah. So if they're at war with the American people, the United States government must secure the homeland and get rid of basically what we're talking about is communist revolutionaries by legal means, by charging them with plotting terrorism. Correct. Also getting rid of the radicalization process. Who is radicalizing these people? Well, the media certainly plays a role. George Soros and NGOs that were funded by, I'm sure, USAID play a big role. Once again, maybe we shouldn't tolerate doctors doing surgeries on minors and calling it healthcare and not doing anything about it. We need to charge and arrest people who are abusing children and calling it medicine. Yeah. These are the things we want to happen within the confines of the law. I mean, that's essentially the response we're wanting. We're just wanting the government to use the power that they seem to be shy to use.
And we don't want our rhino senators are rhino members of Congress. We don't need these rhinos to put Steve Bannon and Alex Jones, who literally speak for a living, just like Charlie Kirk.
Exactly.
You are a tool, and you are absolutely need to sit down and shut up if you're putting Steve Bannon into the same category as the shooter who murdered and assassinated Charlie Kirk. And that's what you just did, Tom Tillis. We need to tone down the rhetoric. We can't say that we're at war. We are at war. We've been at war. We've been losing that war because the radical left ideology has been allowed to infest our young people. We have lost this war if we don't fight back. And so shut up, Tom Tillis, and take your ass back to North Carolina.
And the guy that was actually winning the battles of that war was Charlie Kirk.
Oh, he was.
The guy that was engaging the minds of the young people, the guy that was having a conversation. Again, if you were a Charlie Kirk supporter, if you are a Charlie Kirk supporter and you're in that demographic he was trying to reach, if you're 30 or younger and you listen to him, you're now, I don't want to say Republican for the rest of your life, but or even the word conservative, but you are now awake for the rest of your life. You're never going to be a leftist for the rest of your life.
You're not going to forget. You're not going to forget how you felt when that bullet went through his neck and blood splattered, like his life splattered on the ground right there. His family's life, for the time being splattered on the ground there. And you're not going to forget that. The people who are celebrating it, the people snickering, the laughing, all of that are the people who believe in everything that for this video that we're about to watch.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Tom Tillis trying to say that we're the same. We're not the same as these people, folks. Listen.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
Trump, damn it. You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Oh, yeah!
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you stay in the crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Protesters attack.
I just really want to say the juxtaposition. That was from Trump's first term.
Yeah.
Where now, at the time, Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, now governor of Arkansas, was driven out of a restaurant, like I think called the Red Hen or something in D.C. Mm-hmm. It's just funny how these Democrats, I don't want to get back to the video, these Democrats were encouraging the public to shame people and to reject the Trump message. And now we're seeing the opposite.
Yeah.
We're actually seeing that shame is being used against the left for becoming violent, which is what they were advocating for the entire time.
Oh, it was 100%. They've been saying it. And, I mean, I'll just tell you this, too. It also goes to show how out of touch with reality, in my opinion, that Maxine Waters is. Who says gasoline station these days? Who says department store?
That's actually
okay. Who says those words?
Yeah.
As someone who lives in a $6 million mansion, it says those things.
Yeah, that's right. Who hasn't really had to do anything.
Who hasn't had a job in 40 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you go down to the petrol station, make sure you make a ruckus.
There you go.
Don't let the gas station attendant, when he's filling up your tank, wear the MAGA hat.
Don't just write a letter to them. Don't call their office. No, if you see them in public, create a crowd. Tell them they're not welcome. Okay. Yeah, we're the one that needs to turn down the rhetoric, and that's the least of what we're about to watch.
Trump supporters. Those supporters were attacked as they left the convention center in San Jose overnight. Some punched, some chased down and beaten. Others had bottles thrown at them.
The protesters shaking cars, breaking taillights.
So you literally didn't say anything to provoke them?
I was like, yeah, Trump. At another point, protesters followed this couple, violently harassing them. Police were there, armed in riot gear, but from what we witnessed, reluctant to initially stop or engage the protesters. Spat on, bottles thrown at them, then punches.
They go low, we don't go high. We take them to the mud and choke them out.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
Other Trump supporters beaten.
What happened?
I was walking on the street and this guy like sucker punched me in the back of the head.
You gotta be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
After a WSU graduate student allegedly attacked another student who was wearing a Trump hat, he is now facing an assault charge.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Happened.
Trump supporter Arthur Schaefer, seen here earlier in the day, became a target later on. A mob chased him for a block and a half, took his flag, Trump hat, and glasses, and spat all over him.
You know, I'm okay with people making white supremacists feel unwelcome.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
Antifa counter-demonstrators set off a purple smoke bomb, a signal to push aside barricades and move in.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Please, Nancy, please! Please, Nancy, please! Please, Nancy, please! You're getting all back!
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
At one of these protests. We're throwing some footage right now. We can't actually air the audio because it is so full of obscenities and cursing at this guy.
He got punched,
that's a reporter there.
He's vegan milkshake. They stole his camera equipment.
That's honestly what launched
they're
him
chasing
into
him, throwing things at him. It is just so vile.
Stardom there. He's just an
self-proclaimed Antifa activist Michael Reinell seen in newly released surveillance images.
Does Andy know?
Yeah, thank you.
Stepping off the sidewalk moments before police say he fatally shot pro-Trump supporter Jay Danielson.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the...
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
That's it right there.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
So,
the tolerant left.
The tolerant left, ladies and gentlemen. The violence is not the bug. The violence is the feature at this point, because they've been rejected, because it is a religion. It is a woke religion. It is dogmatic. You must fall in line, and the American people have rejected it.
Yeah.
They've lost elections, not with Trump. They've lost elections for decades now at the state house. You've got super majority Republican legislatures all across the country. It's slowly but surely, and even with the gaslighting from the corporations, the gaslighting from the NBA, the MLB, Hollywood, NFL, music industry, all the gaslighting that we've heard, the gaslighting from our government with the auto pen administration, the American people still rejected trans insanity and everything else. And they can't stand it, and so now the violence. This is part of it. If you're not going to do what we want, we're going to get violent. We're going to kill you. Now, I've got to back up. I know this is not planned part of the show, Rob, because I just got a text message, and I want to go back and I want to analyze this. I want to analyze this text a little critically, and I want to go from this standpoint. I'm on a group text with some family members of mine.
Okay,
and I get this text. I thought the shooter's transcript text messages read authentic to me. And I'm in that boat. I think it reads authentic.
Oh, it seems 100% authentic to me.
Family member gave this to her Gen Z daughter.
Okay.
Read it to her. She immediately says, halfway through, she says it's fake. She says no one in Gen Z would ever write that way. The grammar was too perfect. Other family member on the group text. Yeah, my kids would say the same. Everything is abbreviated, no periods. And then I get another text. They think AI wrote it. All I'm saying is all the debate that we were having about entrance through exit wounds. There was a report yesterday that they think that the shot in the neck was actually an exit wound, not an entrance wound. And there are people that are analyzing that it came from behind. Alex Jones reported earlier today that they thought they had muzzle flashes. Now, I didn't see any of this. This is what he said in his preview, muzzle flash from behind. All I'm saying is, I will say this, the release of these text messages are definitive in terms of if it's real, it's like open and shut case. No one's got to talk about who did this anymore.
Sure.
We've got the text messages. Who cares about whether or not he had a rifle when he jumped down from the roof? Even though that video still is very confusing to me. Right?
Yeah.
You know, all I'm saying is this could very well be real. It very well could be. But I'm not a Gen Zer, and I don't text. I don't know. I think that's something at least to think about. It's to consider. It's to question everything. And
well, but go ahead.
No. I mean, tell me if you think I'm just crazy, because I mean, I just sprung this on you.
He's referencing conversations with his old man, right? His dad. I'm worried about why my old man would do.
What? Yeah.
So there's a typo.
Okay, I'm worried about why my old man would do. Okay, there is a typo.
If I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle.
Okay, so I stand corrected on that.
So what I will say is this is, but you could go AI and they can go back through and add typos, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, that is confirmable. Like, hey, were you messaging him? You know, were you messaging him and asking about your dad's rifle? You know, because, you know, at this point, it's like, well,
they presumably have a cell phone.
Yeah. And I don't know that they would have his cell phone. If he's told his lover to delete this stuff, I wonder if these messages came from the other guy's phone. I don't know. Yeah. Because if he's all these messages about how he wants to get away, then he would have deleted this from his phone. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it's very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Now, listen. The way that reads to me is Dad wants a photo of the rifle as almost like proof of life.
Yeah.
Like, my dad wants a photo of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. I bet you Grandpa's not even involved in this. I think Dad saw that rifle. I think Dad saw that picture, and he was just like, hey, Grandpa wants to know who's got what, right? Like, you kind of you're passing it on up the line there. And you were like, hey, Grandpa wants to know who's got what. That's an odd time to ask for it. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it's very unique. He's calling me right now. Okay, well, that's the first part of it. My dad wants a photo of the rifle. It sounds very legitimate to me. Like, hey, send me a picture of it right now. If you have this rifle, send me this picture right now. Send me a picture of it. Now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee, because it could have been a previous picture of it. But the dad, if he's panicking, he saw that rifle on there and it looked like his dad's rifle, he would be panicking. And he's trying to call him. And his son won't answer. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. This is in the town that you live in. And I know you're a leftist.
Well, no, I don't think he lived there.
Oh, okay.
I think he had to travel there.
Well, he's in Utah. But anyway, so it's close. It's at least closer. And I know you're a leftist. And now this rifle looks like my dad's rifle. You need to call me. So that gives it to me a little bit of legitimacy. I do agree that a 22-year-old is not doing I''VE, got to grab my rifle. Now, I will say this.
Autocorrect.
I will say this. It could be autocorrect. It also could be this, Paul. I send more text messages with, I've got to grab my rifle.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm speaking it. And so that stuff is gonna happen. Like that little audio feature on my text message on my iPhone
it could have been voice to text.
It could have been that. So I'm not trying to say that. Like,
no. I just wanted to explore it. That's all. Yeah. Because I got that while I'm live doing the show, and I'm thinking, Wow. I mean, because if Gen Z's looking at this and thinking that we don't text like that, that's at least something to consider.
But to your point, if that is a typed out text message, I do agree with your family member. They're not going to type this out. Instead of I've got to grab my rifle, I gotta grab my rifle, or grab my rifle. You know, I don't know. Like it's that.
And would there be emojis? That'd be my other question. I don't really use emojis, but I'm told that Gen Z uses a lot of emojis. I don't know.
But
and maybe not in this situation.
Could have been,
just
but also
somebody.
Yeah, but also too, like, you know, could some of that have been deleted? I don't know. Like, boyfriend asked how long he's been planning it. A bit over a week. I wish I grabbed.
I wish
the
I grabbed
rifle
before I got to the
before
vehicle.
I got my vehicle.
The rifle is added.
So I wish I grabbed before I got in my vehicle. So I think that they're all automatically off. They're altering something in quotes. Now they put the brackets around it, which is what you're supposed to do. But I wish that would have said I wish I'd grabbed before I got to my vehicle, and then they put in parentheses referring to the rifle as previously mentioned.
Yeah,
you know. But anyway, or just present it without and just let us decide. When you are adding stuff to it, it lends itself, as your family member is saying, they are like, hey, this is not authentic.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because this will, for the most part, shut down any other debate. Like we've got the guy. Is most people are going to think that now, and that very well may be the case. However, I still want more information. I want ballistics. I want the round recovered. Does it match the rifle? And again, I have questions about the photo of this rifle. Again, it is very unique. I'll give you that. But can we get a photo of this guy with the rifle in his hand?
Sure.
Show me a photo of this guy with the rifle in his hand. I don't think that's too much to ask.
I agree. Let me ask you one last thing about this. If I see, quote, notice, bulge, OWO on Fox News, I'm going to have a stroke. What does that mean?
Those were the engravings on the rounds they found.
Notice, bulge, OWO. What does OWO mean? We're in our 40s here, folks. Like we don't know these.
And we're straight. So this guy was gay. I don't know. Notice bulge. What's the meaning?
What's the meaning of that? Let's look at that.
Let's see here. What does this say?
Sorry, folks. We didn't plan on talking about this live on
the
air, but we just got to know.
In the killing, Utah. The rifle had the scope.
Okay, so the rifle.
The phrase is known online as a meme tied to role playing and is linked with the furry community. So he's a furry.
Okay.
It's a furry thing.
Okay, notices bulges, OWO.
It's often used as a joke to mock others in internet groups, according to Desert News. OWO is a chat face where the
that's
wide.
Wide eyes. Okay.
And
so it's like using
mouth.
Letters to make a like we
face.
used to do before emojis.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we would do the semicolon and the, parentheses to make a winky face or something, So maybe that's what it is. Okay.
So
sorry guys, we're
yeah, I mean
older. We don't know.
The guy says he wants to get away with it, and then he doesn't because he can't go get the rifle. That's the narrative now. And yet he engraved the bullets, which just can show that you're young and stupid. I mean, if you wanted to get away with it and you really were thinking, you would never leave any sort of trace about motive, unless you just hate the person that much, because this is about religion. I mean,
he got in there with the gun. He got to where he was supposed to, where he needed to be with the gun. I think he may have fully intended to get out of there.
I just need to know more. I need to know about. Okay, you've got the video where he's walking with the limp.
Yeah.
Presumably because the rifle is tucked down his pants.
Sure.
Right? That's why he's walking with a limp. So explain to me the stairwell photo where he's not walking with the limp. It doesn't look like he has the gun down his pants. Okay, where was he at that moment? Was that when he was exiting? Because he didn't use the stairs to exit. It shows him jumping off the roof. I want all these conspiracy theories to be answered and or put to bed, and they can do that if they'll just release more information.
I wonder what the timestamp of the walking with the limp photo was. Did you see that?
I don't know. It was before the shooting, I assume.
Because I wonder, just to answer your question about the stairwell, if he had gone to that rooftop and planted that gun prior to, and then got back down or something, and then was seen in the stairwell on the thing. But you would have seen it before. I don't know.
And I've seen some people claiming that he broke the rifle down into pieces, and that's why you don't see it as much. He is carrying something when he jumps off the roof, but then you wouldn't reassemble the rifle before you put it in the woods.
Yeah, and the investigators wouldn't have, if it's legit, they wouldn't have taken a picture of it before they assembled. They wouldn't have assembled it.
No,
they would have let forensics.
We do not have all the facts. Even with these text messages, I'm just telling you, we do not have all the facts. And I know the text messages look conclusive, and they very well may be, but I would have much rather, before we got the text messages, I would much rather some of these inconsistencies be answered first. You've got him jumping off the roof. I can't see a rifle. I see something that is not as long as a rifle, but it's very grainy. Surely there's more footage available of this. Surely there's more footage available.
I really, really hope that there is a complete, none of this is classified or anything like that. I really hope that there is a huge unveiling of it. Let's save the Destiny story for tomorrow, because I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, all right, we will. The last thing we'll cover, Destiny, by the way, has been banned by Twitch for promoting,
which is his primary source of income, we're told.
Terrorism. We will
trash.
talk about that. But just we're going to wrap things up. George Zinn was the first guy that distracted law enforcement for the first hour and a half.
I did it. I shot him.
I did it. I shot him. Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. Well, turns out he's now being charged with obstruction for doing that.
Yeah.
And they looked at his phone, and he had child sexual abuse material. So
CSAM.
CSAM. He had CSAM on his phone, and now he's being charged with that. So
well, good.
That's still another question.
I mean, not good that he had that on his phone, but good that this idiot who derailed things and could have, we were, it was 48 hours before we really knew anything. I can't remember exactly when they got this guy, but I don't know. It may have been. Did it stretch into Saturday or?
Yeah,
it definitely stretched into
over
Friday.
30 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. That's another weird component of this is that this guy, immediately was trying to distract, and then they arrested another guy.
Yeah,
and let him go.
Match the description, quote unquote.
Anyway.
Okay.
That's all the time that we have for this edition of the program. Rob, thank you so much. I always appreciate it. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Shout out to Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, T-Guard Bail Bonds with Cody Powers, as well as Sherrod Chiropractic. We really do appreciate them. The show wouldn't be possible without them. That's all the time that we have for this edition of the Paul Hero program. Don't forget to help support the show by going to paultalkshow.substack.com. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.